Shalom and Bruchim Habayim. Bruchim Habayim in Hebrew means welcome. My name is Rabbi Yitzchak Shapira and I'm the author of The Return of the Kosher Pig. In this series, we are answering objections to the return of the kosher pig, specifically that were presented by some of the members of Jews4Judaism. And today we're going to, by the way, welcome Binyamin. It's so good to have you here with me in the studio. We're going to talk a little bit about Rosh HaShanah today.
Okay.
Can Yeshua in Rosh HaShanah? That's the million-dollar question. Matter of fact, in the book, in page 227 and 236, I have a very long discussion with prayer from Rosh Hashanah that I know you are pretty familiar with, that embedded somehow to the prayer the name Yeshua. Okay, the question is, where is Yeshua coming from? And who embedded him in there, was so forth. So when I wrote the book, Rabbi Israel Blumenthal had quite a few things to say about those particular pages. So due to the length of this lesson, we're going to break it to two parts. The very first part, we're going to deal specifically in this lesson called Rosh Hashanah and Messiah with the origin on the prayer. Okay, so let us look specifically at what Rabbi Israel Blumenthal has to write. And he said the following. He said, for page 227 through page 236, Shapira deal with the prayer found in Rosh Hashanah liturgy, which mentioned Yeshua. Shapira addresses some of my remarks on the subjects, and it concludes that my understanding of the text is not supported by Professor Lips or by any of the Jewish writings. Let's stop there for a moment and let's just deal with this. First of all, who is Professor Lips is also important to the context of discussion. Professor Lips wrote a complete set of articles that deal with this particular prayer and connection to Yeshua the Nazri. And he is one of the leading worldwide leading Kabbalah professor from the Hebrew University. So I think it's important for us to look at this prayer and what is it says. By the way, you have a Siddur here with us. This is a Rosh Hashanah or Chagim, right? Machzor le Rosh Hashanah. This is not a messianic book.
No.
And is this particular prayer mentioned there?
Absolutely. And it's amazing to see in the Orthodox Machzor for Rosh Hashanah, here's Yeshua's name right here in the English.
Yeshua.
In the English.
In the English. Not just in the Hebrew, but also in the English. Interesting. Let us look at this particular prayer. Here's the actual version of the prayer in Hebrew, and I just want to point out to you, it says there that and we're going to look at the word specifically, but it's in two versions. In one version, he put what we call in Hebrew merchaot, next to the name Vav Yeshua, and in the other version it does not, but it's mentioned Elijah, Yeshua, and somebody named Sarah Panim, which we'll talk about in the next lesson, who is called Metatron. Let us look first of all, and we have brought this prayer to you in English. Let's look what the prayer says in English. It says the following: may it be your will that at the sounding of the shofar that we blow today, we will be as a sewed fabric that is filled with fear of the one in charge. Tartiel, as you accepted Eliyahu, Elijah, blessed be his name, and Yeshua, who is called the Prince of the Face, who is the Prince Metatron. May you fill us with mercy. Blessed be your name, O Lord of mercy. It's important for us to understand the context of this prayer. This is an important climatic prayer in Rosh Hashanah. And Rosh Hashanah is an important time, man. It's a time God judges the world.
It's one of the most, it is probably along with Yom Kippur, the holiest time of the year.
Yeah, that's, and in this particular prayer, by the way, let's put this fallacy on the table. The fact that many people would say Jewish people do not need a mediator, it falls from the core of this prayer. Because clearly, these angels bring this prayer straight to God. It's obvious.
In this section, which is called the Tashrat in the Rosh Hashanah prayers, it's amazing, it's incredible, because it's the pinnacle of the Rosh Hashanah service, and here Yeshua's name appears. I get this question a lot about this prayer. Well, what if it's just the word salvation?
Yeah.
And you see it in the Hebrew that does not have the final hey.
Yeshua.
It's not Yeshua.
It's not Yeshua. It's not salvation. It's literally, it's an important point to bring. It's the name Yeshua. There is actual name of this entity who's coming to Hashem,
right.
who will take our blowing of the shofars, which, the word shofar there, shapru et maasechem, it's an idea of being born again, actually. This idea of new birth in the new year, and he's bringing it to the masters, so we will receive mercies. So, first of all, there are 3 points that I make very clear in page 227 to 236. Let us look at those. Number 1, I still contend today that Yeshua name, it is Yeshua the Notzri, who is embedded into this prayer. Number 2, that the prayer call him by another name, that I think names are very important, Sar Apanim. What would you think would be the best? Literally, it's mean Prince of the Face,
right.
But is it Prince of the Countenance? What would be
Prince of the Countenance, Prince of the Presence, or Minister of the Presence?
Minister of the Presence. But Yeshua in this prayer is known by this name without a shadow of the doubt, and in the next lesson, we will look at the role specifically of him. His role will be not just to be delivery boy, so sort of speaking, but he will be the one who will stand in our behalf, in essence, in front of the mighty one of Israel. So we have a point of contention here, because Rabbi Blumenthal suggesting that this prayer does not talk about Yeshua the Notzri. He's talking about Yeshua that is mentioned. I think it's the only one place in the Holy Tanakh that is mentioned in Zechariah 3. He's talking about Yeshua the high priest.
Well, here's something that's undisputable, that the name Yeshua appears here. Now, this is interesting because the high priest in Zechariah 3 is an image of who Yeshua is, but it's very important that we have even Orthodox blogs saying, who is this Yeshua in our Machzor?
Yeah, interesting. There is a Orthodox blog. Do you mind give our audience the name of this blog?
Sure, it's Emes Ve'emunah.
Emet Ve'emunah.
Yeah, and it says basically, who is this Yeshua in our Machzor? There is no angel named Yeshua. It says Yeshua is Jesus.
Yeshua is Jesus. It says it very, very clearly. And a matter of fact, Rabbi Israel Blumenthal trying to suggest that it is not speaking about Yeshua, it's talking about Zechariah. But again, if he wants to take this position, he's arguing against Judaism itself. Because Professor Yehuda Lips remove all shadow of a doubt who is this prayer is talking about. Let us look at Professor Lips' exact words. And here is what he says. He says, who? He asked the exact same question. Who is this Yeshua Sarapanim? And by the way, let me stress, we're bringing it straight from the Hebrew, and we put the Hebrew at the bottom from the article. So there is no ambiguity in translation. Anybody can read Hebrew can see that this is a perfect translation. Is that the Nazarene, the Notzri? This is one of the names of Yeshua, Notzri. It is hard to say otherwise. First, there is another Yeshua? And secondly, who is fit to be third to Eliyahu and Enoch? And then he says, he is Metatron. You see, there was a confusion if it says and Metatron or is Metatron.
Right.
He is Metatron, which we will deal with in the next section. Rabbi Israel Blumenthal, interestingly enough, in this argumentation, he quotes Lips as Lips' authority, but he himself contradicted because he wrote the following to me. He said the following about Yehuda Lips. He says this. You ask why I reject Yehuda Lips' opinion? Very simple. The same system that I use to tell me that Rashi is the authority tells me that Yehuda Lips is not. Well, you can't have it both. We either accept his scholarship or not. In this case, I choose to go with one of the leading thinkers in Jewish thoughts on this particular issue. Matter of fact, Yehuda Lips continue on to remove any doubt on the identity of this prayer. And he said the following. He says, Yeshu the Nazarene, who is known as Yeshu Sarapanim, did not enter into the Jewish literature from the outside. In essence, he's not an outsider. He is something inside Judaism. And from the Middle Ages. He was there from the ancient days, the early days of Christianity, before it separated itself from Judaism. In those days, not all Jews rejected Yeshua the Nazarene, and many believed in him. And then he concluded this. Listen to this shocking statement. He even tells us what is the origin of the prayer. He says, Yeshua Sarapanim is a Jewish Christian term that found in the place of the mystical literature during the time of the Tanaim. And from there, it finds itself to this what's known as Sefer HaCheshek, and ultimately to the Sidurs of Rosh HaShanah. Let's explain it to the audience. The audience must say, what is he talking about? In essence, what Dr. Lips saying to us is that this prayer is originated during the era of the Tanaim. The era of the Tanaim is the first century, first and second century. He said this prayer was already there. In the, I believe, don't quote me on that, the Sefer HaCheshek was written several hundred years later, and it's have a lot of paganistic elements. So Israel Blumenthal trying to suggest that this actually come from Sefer HaCheshek, but Yehuda Lips tell us it's exactly the opposite. It came from the Tanaic era into ultimately the Machzurim that we have today, and it's talking about Yeshua HaNotzri. Wow. And matter of fact, he concluded with this thought. I think we can put this objection right there to bed, because it says, according to the evidence of the fathers of the church and the early Jewish believers, we can take another step and to claim that the merger of Yeshu and Metatron, that's why he's called by the name Yeshua and Metatron, and not or. He is, it's the same name, came to the owner of the Zohar from ancient Jewish tradition that is written in the first few centuries that transformed Yeshu to a messenger, Malach, and brought him closer to the image of Metatron. How ironic is the same tradition give us Yeshu, the task of the one who will take revenge of the nations of the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So this prayer, what we have proven so far is, number one, there's a prayer that is speaking about a messenger. By the way, a messenger does not have to have some wings and just flap them. A messenger usually means a malach, okay? That's the usual the translation. But this is not a regular malach, right? What is the role of this malach? He is going to take our prayers and he's going to bring them up to God. And this malach is called Yeshua. That's number one. Number two, we've proven that this prayer specifically speak of, or specifically originate in the area of the Tanaim. So the third thing we need to look at, and we will look at it in the third lesson, what is the role of this malach? Is he just going to be an ordinary malach, a delivery boy, as Rabbi Blumenthal suggests, or is he going to have much greater role? Any more conclusion you want to add?
That all of our merits come from this particular person who is beyond the concept of an angel. This is no regular angel. This is someone who is described in Jewish literature as Hashem HaKatan, the little Hashem.
The little Hashem.
Which we'll discuss in the next chapter.
Join us in the next lesson as we continue this lesson on this incredible prayer from Rosh HaShanah. May the God of Israel bless you with much peace and shalom. Litraot v'kol tov.